Well, a huge good morning to you, whether you're at St Helens or St Mary's, whether you're a child or whether you're a member of our staff. A huge good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. And Happy New Year! It's 2021. It's the beginning of a brand new year. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you managed to have a bit of a break. I wonder whether maybe Father Christmas brought you anything over Christmas. Unfortunately, I can't find out because I'm recording this the night before we go back to school. But I'm sure there'll be some time today for you to talk to your friends at playtime or maybe within your class about something that you've done at Christmas, something that you'd love to share. But from me, just wanted to say a huge Happy New Year to you. Now, New Year's are always opportunities for us to do things differently, to think about things differently. And so we're going to be starting a new value this term. And I'm just going to share a little picture with you that shows a bit about it. Our new value, I don't know if you can read it, is quite a big word, and it's called responsibility. And in this picture that you've got in front of you, you can see there's someone's almost handing the responsibility over to somebody else. So what I'd love you to do just before I get into our assembly today and share a few thoughts with you is I'd love your teacher in a second to stop the video and to ask you as a class, what does responsibility mean? And what do you think this picture means? So why would someone be passing responsibility over? And if you imagine it's you that's going to receive it, what does that mean? I wonder what kind of responsibilities you might have. So if the teacher stops the video now, have a chat as a class and see if you can work out what this picture might have to do with responsibility. Great. Well, we're all back together now. Hopefully, you've had a chance to think about it. Now, responsibility. What does it really mean? I guess what it means for me, it's almost like you're being given something to look after. You're taking responsibility for something, and someone's giving it to you. So, for example, my daughter, Izzy, who's 12, has got a hamster. And she has to take responsibility for looking after the hamster. Now, we help her out with that, but actually we give her responsibility to make sure the hamster's fed, that it's cleaned, that it's got everything that it needs, got water every day. It might be that you've been in your bag today, you've got responsibility for your lunch, you've got responsibility on your desk for your pens, for your books, the things that you're going to be doing, but also you've got to take responsibility of the way that you are as well, that your behaviour, the choices that you make. So this term we're going to be thinking a bit about responsibility and how we take responsibility for ourselves, we take responsibility for our stuff, but we also take responsibility for each other. We look after each other, we treat each other really well. So our value is responsibility. Actually, Mr. Spence, just sharing that, realised there's a spelling mistake in responsibility there. That picture I got off the internet, I was just looking at it thinking it doesn't quite look right. It's missing an extra I after the final L, so responsibility. Hopefully you'll remember that, so you'll remember to spell it right now. Mr. Spence's mistake there. I should have spent a bit more time choosing my photo carefully. And you'll know as well that our curriculum, the things that we learn at school, are all about us becoming brave change makers. That's children who can make a difference in the world that we're growing up in. And you'll see from looking around the circle that one of our areas is upside down at the bottom left, is called rights and responsibilities. And so we're thinking about how we can be people who take responsibility for the world around us and for the people around us too. And this term, we're going to be thinking about responsibility in different ways. And I just thought it would be a nice time to share this with you. So if you're in reception, or even if you're not in reception, this is what they're going to be getting up to. They're going to be thinking about how to make responsible choices. So they're going to be reading stories, learning about responsibility, and they're going to be hoping to create a video about how we can create a safe and responsible school. And I can't wait to find out what reception class at both schools are going to be finding out about and telling us too. In year 1 and 2, they're going to be thinking about how that they can protect other people, how they can take responsibility for other people. So they're going to be learning from the lives of some famous people, Grace Darling, who was a lighthouse keeper's daughter, and a lady called Jane Goodall, who protected endangered animals. That's animals that live around the world that might be in danger of extinction. And they're going to be thinking about what we can do to protect other people too. Year 3 and 4 are going to be thinking about what makes a good leader. They're going to be learning about the Romans, which is a great period of history, and the Celts, thinking about the impact they've made on our country and how they were led. and they're going to think about rights and responsibilities and why we need to have rules in our society. And year 5 and 6 also got a really exciting some learning this term. How do we make our voice heard? Year 5 and 6 are going to be thinking about ancient Greece and the Greeks. They're going to be thinking about the impact they've had on Britain, and they're going to be thinking as well about science, culture, democracy, that's voting, and thinking about how they can make their voices heard as well. Now, what we're going to do today is I've got 2 videos I'm going to show you, actually. And the first video is a little bit of a story. And all the way through the story, there's going to be opportunities for you in your class to stop the video and have a discussion. And then in the video, there's some other children who are going to share their thoughts as well. And we're going to use the story to think about how we might take responsibility for other people and ourselves too. So I'm just going to share my screen. So this is going to be the story that we're looking at today. I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to stop it during the way through so that you can have a chance to have your discussions as a class yourselves.
On the banks of a river sits a scorpion. This scorpion has got lost, and she's separated from her family by a huge river. Now, you may not know this, but scorpions can't swim. So she can't cross it. She's stuck. Ribbit. Oh! At that moment, a frog passes by. Ribbit, ribbit. Now, of course, frogs can swim, so she asks the frog for help. Says the frog, "I don't think so. Scorpions and frogs are deadly enemies. Scorpions sting frogs. When we're halfway across, you'll sting me." "Why would I do that?" says the scorpion. "It makes no sense. If I sting you, I won't get across the river to my family." But the scorpion can see that the frog's still not sure, and so she says, "I promise I won't sting you. What do you think? Should the frog carry the scorpion across?"
So this is the first time where you're going to have a discussion as a class. So what I'd love you to do, stop the video in a second, and then have a discussion as a class. What do you think the frog should do? Should the frog carry the scorpion across? And discuss why you might think that. Off you go. Okay, so we're going to find out now what a few other children thought about this question.
What they do is to feed stick frogs. We have to eat it because we have to.
I think that the frog should carry the scorpion across the river because she's probably tired and exhausted from running around. When she gets to the other side of the river, she won't have time to sting the frog and then carry it all the way back home because she'll be so tired already.
Actually, I disagree, but scorpions can't resist poisoning people or other animals because it's actually in their nature that they will sting or not sting.
Eventually, after a lot of pleading from the scorpion, the frog agrees to carry her across the river. Oof. Now, what looks like a short distance to you is quite a long journey for a frog, especially when you've got someone your own size on your back, and it's a scorpion. Woohoo! Halfway across the river, the frog feels a sharp pain on his head. Ow! The scorpion has stung him. "Why did you do that?" screams the frog. "Now we'll both drown." "I can't help it," says the scorpion. "Scorpions sting frogs. It's in my nature." And with that, both the scorpion and the frog sink down into the river. Who was responsible for what happened to the frog and the scorpion?
So we're going to stop the video just there. And your second question to talk about together is who was responsible? And we're thinking about responsibility, aren't we, this term? Who was responsible for what happened to the frog and the scorpion? Was it the frog? Was it the scorpion? Was it both of them? What do you think? And I really like the way the other children that you might have seen, and when they were talking, someone would make a point and the other person would say, actually, I disagree, or I agree with that because so maybe you could use that as a way of having a discussion. So stop the video and see what you think as a class. Okay, well, let's see what the children found out this time.
But what happened to the frog and the scorpion?
I think it was the frog's fault because if he didn't carry the scorpion across the river halfway, they both wouldn't have died.
I think it's the scorpion's fault because even though if it's in your nature or in your personality to sting this person, sting that animal, you can actually stop yourself.
I think they were both responsible for it. Scorpion's fault for breaking her promise, and the frog's fault for knowing that she's going to sting him, but not being clever enough to not listen and swim away.
What did the scorpion mean when she said it's in her nature?
Now, this is a great question. So I wonder if you can have a chance to have a talk about this together. So what does it mean? What did the scorpion mean when she said it's in her nature? Off you go, have a chat about that.
When the scorpion said it's in my nature, I think she meant that it's what all her kind does and it's what she grew up to do and what she's going to grow her little kids up to do.
That's all very well for frogs and scorpions, but what does this have to do with humans? Well, let's take Kareem as an example. Kareem's always been a bit, well, careless with other people's things. Kareem's best friend Sophie has a telescope that he really wants to borrow. The thing is, Sophie's not sure. She knows Kareem is careless, but he promises to be careful with it. So eventually she decides to lend him the telescope. Kareem heads off, carrying the telescope extra carefully. Phew! He spends the evening looking at the stars, making sure he's being extra careful. And the next day, on his way to return it to Sophie, he sees a group of little baby scorpions looking cute on the bank of the river. Uh-oh. Looks like Kareem might not have been extra careful this time. Hi! And that means he has broken his promise to Sophie. She's probably going to be rather upset. Could Kareem have stopped himself from breaking his promise?
Okay, so one more question for you. Could Kareem have stopped himself from breaking his promise? So he's quite clumsy, he's quite forgetful. Could he have done something different though, do you think? And if you think he could have done, what could he have done differently? How could he have done that? Stop the video and have a chat about that.
I know it's in his nature to be careless, but he has to remember that this is his best friend we're talking about, someone that he's known for a long time probably, and when he says, I'm going to bring it back to you, he has to remember that in his head. It's like, imagine you're at a buffet and there's lots of food and you've had lots. You can stop yourself from eating lots of food. It's up to you what you want to do.
Now, I hope you enjoyed that. I thought it was quite a good one for us to start with at the beginning of a new year, because there's a phrase when we talk about a new year, often like turning over a new leaf. And what it literally means is doing something a bit differently this year. So sometimes people have New Year's resolutions. Maybe they start to do a bit more exercise, or they decide they're not going to eat so much chocolate, or whatever it might be. But in terms of thinking about responsibility, I think sometimes there was that phrase they used, wasn't it? It's in my nature. So if I'm honest, sometimes it's in my nature. I can be a little bit messy. So sometimes if you see my desk, I've got things all over my desk. Actually, if I want to take responsibility for my stuff, which means not losing it, then I need to make sure I keep my desk tidy. Now, I might say it's in my nature to be messy, but actually, if I'm going to take responsibility, a bit like the boy then who could have done something different with the telescope, I can choose to make a difference. So today, and as we move into this term, I want you to think about what you can do differently this term. What can you take responsibility for in your classroom? It could be something to do with your behaviour. You might sometimes find it really difficult to concentrate, but actually you could take responsibility by really listening and paying attention to the teacher. It could be looking after your stuff. The list could go on and on and on. And so what we're going to do today is I've got one more video that I'm going to show you, and it talks a little bit more about responsibility, and you think about it in school. And we always have a reflection question, don't we? We've already been thinking about some questions, but at the end of the video, it's going to ask you a question that I really would love you to, again, stop the video and have a discussion. What are you going to do this term yourself in your classroom with your class to take responsibility and really look at putting this value into practice? And then every assembly we come to, we'll be thinking more and more about responsibility and how we take good care of that. So I'm going to say goodbye. We're going to finish with that next video. There'll be the chance to talk about it. So have a great day. Have a great start to the new year. Take responsibility. Make it a really good start. And I look forward to seeing you around then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hello, and welcome to today's lesson. Today, we're going to learn about responsibility. Responsibility means being in charge of something. When you are in charge, you are the one who takes care of something or someone. For example, let's say a friend of yours asks you to look after their puppy for an entire afternoon. That means you are responsible for the puppy. The responsibility for the puppy is yours. When you are responsible, you have to be the one who feeds the puppy, gives the puppy some water to drink, plays with the puppy, walks the puppy, keeps the puppy safe, and keeps the puppy out of the garbage. Puppies sometimes like to eat from the garbage. Keep that puppy out of that trash can. If you look after your friend's puppy for the entire afternoon, like you were asked, you will have acted with responsibility. The puppy is safe, and your friend is very thankful. Great job! That's the power of responsibility! Now, here's your challenge. How can you practice responsibility as an individual, in your classroom, and as a part of your school? Good luck in your challenge, and good luck practicing responsibility. Remember, responsibility means truly taking care of something or someone.